Howdy folks, it's Meandering Mike in the Man Cave of Menace, and we are doing a quick unboxing of Patton's First Victory, Tunisia. This is from Decision Games, came out in 2011. This is the boxed version. It's currently available on the Decision Games website. The Ziploc version is not available, and this includes a computer game, a CD-ROM of the computer game for this. Don't know if it'll work, because I think this is like pretty old, back in like Windows XP days or something like that. But so we're gonna do a quick unboxing, not a long meandering one, not my full explorations, just something quick. So let's get the shrink off. And now that the shrink has gone, let's take a look at the back of the box. Remove the shrink first to try to reduce any glare that you might get. All right, let's try to zoom in a little bit here on this. All right. Yeah, we'll see what we can see from here. So it tells us that this has a 17 by 22 map, 114 die cut counters. You know, I'm gonna zoom in a little more up on that corner. There you go. So you can all read along a little better. One rules, I should say rule book. Okay, rules and scenario book. Okay, there you go. Proper grammar. Here's some example of the counters. Here is, let's zoom down here better. But yeah, that's close enough so that you can read it nice. A two-player game. Now, this is rated 4 out of 5 on solitaire, which means it's intended as, you know, typical one player is playing both sides of the game. Not that there's a solitaire mode or anything like that. Division level scale, you can see there's here from Italians, the cores, but it stops, the red stops at the division. So it's division level, 20 mile per hexes, supposedly 1 to 2 hours per game. We'll just, see if that's right once we get into it. Very low complexity. Okay, because this is a short unboxing, I'm not going to spend any time going through the details. It's Tunisia. It's 1943. It's World War II in North Africa. You've got the Germans in Tunisia. You've got the Americans that have been, I think they're about to get crushed at Catherine Pass, so Patton hasn't shown up yet. And you should have the Brits down here pushing in to Tunisia at the Mareth line, and then eventually Patton will show up with more American forces and potentially some French forces and whatnot, landing up here and coming in. It's possible they could come in this way too. All right, so let's get inside the box. All right, so we've opened the box, and while the picture is landscape mode, we've turned this to portrait size because that's the orientation of the rule book here. I'm going to tilt down so we can see into this better. CD for the computer game version. CD-ROM, most people don't have them. You might have to get like a USB drive that can read CD-ROMs. Not even a DVD, CD-ROM. All right. Die 12. We don't normally see those. Normally see die 6s, maybe die 10s. Wow, die 12. Rule book. Short rule book. 4 pages. 4 pages. All right. So this is very reminiscent of a Decision Games folio games. They have their mini games that are like half of this, but their folio games are like 8.5 by 11, and it looks about this amount of content. So this is actually a box game. It's available on the Decision Game website. It's about $25. The Ziploc version of this is not currently available, but yeah, you can get this for 25 bucks on Decision Game, which is about the same price as their folio games, I believe. So 4 pages of rule. Scanning real quickly. do not see anything listing scenarios. Set up at 5. There's not multiple setups for like, so there's not. So the back of the box said rules and scenario booklet, but it's just 4 pages of rules. There's only one scenario, the game. All right. So we'll come back to this 4 pages. That's the box tilting. Excuse that. Okay, there is no combat results table or train effects chart in the rules. So we'll have to look for player aid or on the map. Here are the units though. Combat factor, movement factor, where it's set up. Okay, so looks like ground troops have a combat factor here, whereas general support assets have a negative die roll modifier. So it's negative. So low numbers must be good in this combat system. All right. So looking in here, we got counter sheet and 1 bag. It'd be nice to have more than 1 baggie. There's, I mean, these would all fit in there, but it may be nice to have 2 baggies. You have 1 for the Allies and 1 for the Axis there. Let's look at the map first. Okay, there is no player aid because I want to see the combat results table. There is none. And it's a one-sided map. Okay, there's something up and down the edge. That is terrain key. It has movement points, and that looks like, I guess, 0, 0, 0. Oh, because there's number. So this must be terrain effects. This is the terrain effects chart up the edge of the map. All right. The various terrain, border hex sizes, roads, desert, salt marsh, clear, village, bridge hex side, hills, harbor objectives, river hex sides, mountain, fort hex. Wow, plus, okay, fort. Marith. Okay, this is the Marith line. Impassable, no movement. So the British are going to have to pound their, okay, that. Okay, La Spezia, it's Italians. So the Italians are defending here against the Brits. The Brits cannot pour through here, but it looks like they could potentially do an end run down here. All right, so these, I would guess, are airfields, not the standard airfields. So, well, there was no... Okay, it's not on the train effects chart. But it looks like it would be an airfield. Okay, and there's other things here that look like Second Corps set up, 8th Army set up. There's the Brits. Patton's going to show up. He's not here at the fact. So this is, yeah, so this is your typical Tunisia, where you got the initial American forces, like at Kasserine, and they're going to get bazzed by Rommel, and then Patton's going to show up and win the day. Of course, historically, the British are going to say they won the day. But this game is, it's an American game, so this is Patton's first victory. All right, so we do not see a train effects chart. Turn record track, I'm assuming, yeah, turn record track. I don't know why they're alternating colors, but there's a symbol here for roll for Patton to come into play, I guess. Patton in command at end of turn. Roll for Rommel is recalled. So Rommel leaves early, maybe 11, 12, 13. Patton comes in, so it's a variable. When Patton comes in and when Rommel leaves, return to base. Okay, they don't show the symbol here, but it's these are air bases, airfields. I'd like, typical airfields like that triangle symbol, but no, not in this map. All right, so no train effects chart where there's none in the thing. So we're going to go back to the rules and have to find the combat rules. Okay, real quickly at the counters. There is no key of the color of the counters listed on the counter sheet, which is always a good thing to do. You publishers and designers out there, if you're self-designing or publishing. But we can tell from Montgomery, British, Juin and Constant, this must be little French guys. Some actually joined in. Obviously there's Patton, so that's the American color. La Spezia and Superga, that's the Italians. They have lots of guns, but only one infantry and one armored unit. And so these are obviously the Germans. You got the Hermann Göring unit, the 15th Panzer. There's Rommel. And here, see this symbol, captured air base, that kind of thing there. Sometimes there'll be a third line there, so kind of a triangle and a crosshatch. That's what I would have expected to see on the map for air bases, but okay. And these counters are double-sided, so it looks like ground units have a second side. It looks like they lose about 1 or 2 strength points on the other side. Their movement doesn't get reduced. Oh, so all these battle groups here, that's just defensive battle groups, or is that when you take the last hit on this side, do you get replaced by that? Because the battle group has no backside, and it's weaker than all these other units. So I don't know. We'll have to find out about the battle group rules. So we've looked at the counters, we've looked at the map. We're going to have to look at the rule book to figure out. Okay, I'm going to move this here. Unfortunately, it's a problem. Filming landscape, but looking at a rule book. So we might zoom in to look, but there's got to be attacking, okay? Attacking and defending losses and battle groups. There's what we just mentioned. Retreating and advancing after combat. So we need to breakthroughs. We need to go to section air combats before attacking. Interesting. 11. I'm trying to find out how the combat system works. I have some conjectures because of the way the terrain were a plus and the support's a minus, that it's going to be like roll the die 12 to try to hit the enemy and modify, like terrain will help his defense. And because those support guys, you want to roll low. Well, what if it's supporting in defense? Okay, let's see. Let's look real quick. We're trying to make this a short one so that we're not going to go into too much combat. So there is air combat, some rules here. I'm not going to look at those right now. I want to look at attacking. No unit or support asset may attack more than once, except for see rule 15 real quick. Breakthroughs. So there is a way for like Panzer units or something to make a breakthrough. Something such as Patton eligible. Okay, so we're not going to go into detail on that. 2 units may never combine their combat vector in a single attack. So it's not odds ratio. It's not differential. You don't add up and compare. So it's going to have to be like in some tactical games when you are shooting at the enemy and we're using this strange die 12 instead of a lot of tactical games use a die 10 instead of a die 6. This is a die 12. 2 or more friendly units may attack the same enemy occupied hex individually. There's nowhere to share combat factor. Rolls the die 12, modified by the type of terrain or the hex side. Only one. So it's the hex side or the hex, not both. Subtract the minus numbers involved. Actually, the same as adding the negative number. So obviously you want to roll low, defense. And then so you compare it. How does the attack, you net the attack against the defense? Up to two non-air support assets plus one. Wow, okay. 2 non-air support plus 1 air support. Wow, you can really pack it in there. Total of 3. If the attacking player's final result is less than or equal to the attacking's printed combat factor. All right, so you you don't look at the defender's defense strength. You don't look at their combat strength. You look at yours on attack, and you're trying to roll the die 12 equal or less than your attack strength, where you have to add to the die roll the defender terrain. It's penalizing you. You're trying to roll equal or less than your attack strength. And so those combat assets, command or air or artillery, are lowering your die, making it easier for you to roll equal or less. So if we look at a typical strength unit here, 7, 6, 5. So rolling a die 12 against the second armored here, on average, rolling a 6 or less on a die 12 is 50-50 chance. You know, better with the first armor. These infantry, mechanized infantry units would have to roll 5 or less, not as good a chance. So if they were in the clear terrain, no modifier, and you had no command assets, 50% chance to hit, 7 out of 12 chance to hit, 5 out of 12 chance to hit, etc. But if they had really tough terrain, we saw that +6 for that Marith line. So if we look at Italian unit here, La Spezia, with 4, adding, well, it's the British unit attacking. All right. So we got a British unit here. It's the 7th armored attacking. You'd have to roll a 7 or less, but adding 6 to its die roll. So you'd have to roll 1, but if you had, say, an artillery in Montgomery, you'd subtract 3, so you'd have a chance to hit 4 to 12, about 1/3 chance. Wow, okay. So obviously stacking up. Okay, here. An unmodified 1 always hits, an unmodified 12 always misses. Now that's defense. Oh, yep, same thing here. We went down into defending, attacking. So you have attacking and defensing. So you're rolling to hit as an attacker, and you're going to make them take a step loss, or is replaced by a battle group that is already reduced. Okay, so that's how that works. Those battle groups are an extra step. So if you're on your main side, you take a hit, you flip over. If you take another hit, you're to the battle group, another hit, you're dead. Okay? Defending, whether the attack was successful or not, defends exactly like attack on the die 12, however, no terrain modifier. Okay, so you could have assigned on defense some command assets, like close air support, air or artillery helping you. So you could get a bonus to shoot back. So the attacker is going to attack, and if they hit you, you're going to take a loss. And it says whether it's 6, so you get to attack no matter what. So it must be simultaneous. You roll the attacker, you roll the defender, both at the same time. But because you can only attack individually, right? Each attacks individually. Your numbers, like one guy has to attack. So someone in a high combat unit in a good defensive terrain is going to get to shoot in turn at each dude. Well, it did say you could only shoot once, but that was on attack. It said you can only attack once. You may attack more than one. And here it's saying each time you're attacked, whether attack was successful, that attacking unit is immediately able to conduct a defense. So it sounds like you can defend every single time. So if if 2 units are attacking you, 3 units are attacking you, they're each attacking separately, and as long as you don't get killed off eventually, you could boom, 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 you could be damaging each of the attackers in turn. All right, retreating. When the attack is successful, but the corresponding defense is unsuccessful, you have to retreat. Okay, so it didn't look like there's any rules about flanking, like having multiple guys, but that's the key there. If you have multiple guys and you've surrounded them with zones of controls, because there were zone of control rules, zone of controls, if you can get your guy to hit him and they don't hit you back, he has to retreat, and if he can't, not retreat into or through enemy zones of control, occupied hexes. So there is teaming up in the sense of having someone's flank where they couldn't retreat. So as long as you can get lucky enough to hit them, they don't hit you back, they'll have to retreat. But let's say you attack with the first guy and he doesn't. Well, the second guy, he has a chance to attack. And if he hits and the defense doesn't hit back, then you have to retreat. Then you could kill him off that way, forcing him to retreat. But if the attacker keeps rolling bad and the defender rolls good, or even if the attacker rolls well, a full strength unit will have, from front side to the step and then to the battle group, and it'll take another hit to kill. And so potentially they can do a lot of damage back on defense. All right. I think we're going to stop there. I mean, there's more juicy stuff. How does Patton come in? What happens when Rommel leaves? There are breakthroughs. But the big thing that we discovered here, there is no odds or differential combat results. It's a roll to hit against your strength. Each guy's going to shoot at each other in turn. The attacker, the defender. The defense terrain penalizes the attacker roll. It doesn't improve the defender's roll. It said that here, right. Said that somewhere. I saw that. No train modifier, right? No train modifier. Those combat assets are going to be a big thing. Use of the air and artillery and our leaders. So I think we saw that there was an air combat. So gaining air superiority is going to be important. You're going to want to go after the enemy units or capture their air bases. I think we saw our counter for air bases captured. And what was the victory? I'll see. I was hoping to get this down to 10 to 15 minutes. Looking like we're going to be in at about 20 to 25, but it's less meandering than my typical Meandering Mike unboxings, where we explore. I needed to explore this more because there was not a combat results table that I could just show you. Normally, that was it. It'd be on the map or in the rule booklet or on a player aid card, and this was not. So yeah, we do have air combat. Air support assets set up only on these hexes. Okay, so they do show those there. All right, stacking. No two pieces may ever be stacked. Let's say there is no stacking except support assets. All right, so this has been an unboxing of Patton's First Victory, Tunisia, from Decision Games. We're gonna pop this up here, as you can see there. Patton's First Victory, Tunisia. And it is available on the Decision Games website. You could probably get it from maybe Noble Knight Games or somewhere else might have it in stock. Like I said, it is from, I believe I mentioned it's from 2011. So it is an old game, but it seems to be quite unique. I've never seen a die 12 combat system in a war game. I know role-playing games and stuff use a lot of different dice, but this looks like an interesting game to try out this combat system and see how it works. It really, really, really is more, seems to me like a tactical model, which at this scale just seems a little weird to me, but it might flow well. So, calling it quits there. So, Meandering Mike, Man Cave of Madness, signing out. Remember, take care of your games, and they will take care of you. Ciao, y'all.